appropriate time.
Yep. Senator Patterson.
Thank you. Yes, I want to continue on this line. Deputy Commissioner, just going back to your observation before that the 29 incident was a turning point for the AFP in your engagement with the MPS, I've kind of just assumed why that's self-evident, but in your own words, in the AFP's own words, why was it a turning point?
Well, I think the environment had changed, Senator. I think we're now looking at these issues through the eyes of 2024.
No, I know that, but
yeah.
but you've changed how you engage with the MPS since 2019 because of the 2019 incident. What was it about the MPS's behaviour in that 2019 incident that led you to do that?
So we weren't overly concerned with their behaviour. Just to clarify the position, I think the change in environment in terms of the foreign interference threat, Senator.
So the turning point wasn't the incident itself, it's just the general change that's been happening over that time?
Yeah, and I think if you look back at the legislation came in late 2018, early 2019. Obviously, we were going through a transition in terms of our CFI command was stood up in 2020. It was just a conscious decision, and a conscious decision we made that we weren't going to apply those guidelines again.
But I mean, operations were facilitated up until that point, and then after that point they weren't. So what about that operation led you to change your approach? I think it's been said in an AFP statement elsewhere that they breached protocols. What does that mean? Yeah,
I think, I saw that reference. We didn't make a statement in relation to that. I know it's been referred to in the Four Corners story. I'm not too sure which protocols they're actually referring to. But I think it's fair to say, and again, 2019, 2020 was a pivotal moment in terms of the relationship. The concern in relation to the foreign interference threat.
Sorry to interrupt you, Deputy Commissioner, but just to come back to this issue, I think you've said yourself that it was disturbing or inappropriate or concerning, or I mean, I'm paraphrasing and recalling from memory, so if I've misattributed you, please tell me, but I didn't get the impression that you thought that what happened in 2019 was okay.
No. So just to clarify, 2019 was pretty much as per the protocols. We made a conscious decision after that with obviously the change of the executive, the establishment of the CFI command. We made a conscious decision as an executive that we weren't going to apply those guidelines again. The relationship had changed. So
in your view, the MPS did nothing wrong in that 2019 incident?
Correct.
Right, that's not the impression that I got from your previous evidence. It's 180 degrees from what I took from your previous evidence.
Yeah, well, apologies if you've got that point. That certainly wasn't my intent, Senator.
Okay. All right. What can you tell us more about the fate of Ms Wang?
Sorry?
What can you tell us more about the fate of Ms Wang?
So she's not been criminally pursued by MPS. It's a civil matter she's working through, Senator.
And she is in China dealing with that civil matter?
She is.
Right, so she hasn't returned to Australia, but correct. She hasn't been prosecuted?
There's not a criminal investigation in relation to her.
Right. Just in relation to the MPS conduct, I think you said before either her lawyers reached out to you or her lawyers reached out to the MPS because they were aware that there was an interest in her. Four Corners reported that the Chinese embassy played a role in this, that the Chinese embassy contacted her. Do you have any awareness of that?
No.
So you don't believe that they did that, or you just don't know?
I've got no awareness of that issue, Senator.
Would it concern you if the embassy was involved in that operation?
Listen, in what just to clarify.
Well, if it was the embassy that contacted Ms Wang and told her that she needed to speak to the MPS.
The information I've got, Senator, is that her solicitor contacted MPS wanting
her solicitor in Australia or her solicitor in China?
Solicitor in China.
Right. Okay. All right. And other than those 6 incidents that you refer, which are all non-Australian residents and non-permanent residents, you
correct.
said, you're not aware of any instance where the AFP has facilitated a return of someone to China with the MPS?
They're the only cases, Senator.
And you're not aware of any other incidents where the MPS or any other Chinese policing agency or intelligence agency has coerced or persuaded or encouraged anyone in Australia to return to China?
Not to my knowledge, Senator.
They're the only incidents? Okay.
And Senator, I might just add to that both ASIO and the AFP have assessed that 2019 visit and have both assessed that it wasn't an act of foreign interference.
Yeah, thank you for that. I mean, the ASIO Director General wasn't even aware of it until it became a media report. So when did this ASIO assessment take place?
So I'm saying based on the information that we have now, post the Four Corners report. Looking back, we determined that at the time it wasn't an act of foreign interference.
So you've had engagement with ASIO since Four Corners to review the incident?
Correct.
And the post Four Corners review between the AFP and ASIO is that wasn't foreign interference?
Correct.
Okay. One of the other reports in that Four Corners episode was about Edward Yin and some footage of him appearing to be assaulted and in connection with a foreign interference issue. He's a political dissident. What can you tell me about this case? What can you tell me about the incident involving Mr Yin and the case surrounding it?
Yes, Senator, I'm really unable to go into a lot of detail with that one because it is still part of an active investigation. So again, I'm sorry, I'm going to apologise, but there's not a lot I can actually talk about on that one.
Yeah, I do understand the constraints you're under. It's my understanding, well, it's been reported that there have been raids in connection with this incident. Can you confirm that?
I'm not confirming that there are raids. All I'm confirming is that there's an ongoing and active investigation.
It's been reported publicly that there were raids. You can't confirm that?
Well, firstly, raids is not a term that we would use.
Yeah, you're right. That's a colloquial term, but what can you tell me about AFP operations in relation to the incident?
There has been some overt search warrant activity in relation to the broader investigation, yes.
And Mr Yin says he was named in that search warrant?
I can't confirm that off the top of my head. I'm certainly happy to take that on notice.
Was anyone else named on that search warrant?
Again, I'd have to take that on notice.
Okay. Have there been any other similar incidents like this where an Australian citizen or resident was assaulted on Australian soil in this way?
I couldn't give you an answer with 100% conviction on that, so I'm happy to take that one on notice. If you're asking me, are there other individuals that are part of the active and ongoing investigation, I can say yes, there are, but some of those people have not. Their involvement differs to that of the involvement you're talking about.
As in they are victims or suspects?
Sorry, they are also victims, but they have not been subject to the same activity that Mr Yin has. Yes,
so I'll be careful here about what I say. I'm aware of other people because they have told me that they have been notified by the AFP that the AFP is conducting investigations into people who've targeted them. How many people are there?
Look, I'm not comfortable sharing that. I'm sorry, and I know you'll be frustrated, but I keep going back to it is an active and ongoing investigation. Yes, we have taken some overt action, but there are still aspects of the investigation that I can't talk about in a public forum.
I understand that. I'm sensitive to that. I won't push you further on that. Those people disclose that to me, but I don't have their permission to disclose their identities publicly. I wouldn't do that anyway in an active investigation. But it will be of concern to a lot of people to know that there are multiple Australian citizens or residents who appear to be victims or targets of a foreign interference operation that's being investigated by the AFP right now. What can you say about the progress that you're making as part of this investigation and the possibility of charges being laid?
Again, I'm not comfortable discussing the possibility of charges being laid. What I can say, though, is that obviously through the task force and through our capabilities within the task force, we were able to identify this activity and behaviour early on, and as you are now aware and as you've indicated, there are a number of potential victims that have been involved that we have engaged with, and I think that should give the community confidence that we are aware and we are taking action.
Yeah. Are those individuals, if they choose to do so, free to talk about this, as Mr Yin has?
Look, I'm not really keen on going into the details of the engagement that we've had with each of those.
No, I'm not asking you to. I'm just asking if they want to self-disclose, as Mr Yin has, are they free to do so?
Our preference and advice to them up to this point in time has been that we would prefer they didn't.
Understood.
So as not to jeopardise the ongoing investigation.
Okay. Just finally on this line of questioning, one of the reasons why the Chinese Australian diaspora and others involved in these issues is anxious about their safety in Australia is that they don't see a lot of prosecutions that have flowed under the counter foreign interference legislation. There've only been one successful prosecution, as you know, the Sunny Duong case. There is one other matter of a person being charged, Alexander Sisirgo, and there have been other reports of AFP warrants being exercised, including in relation to John Zhang, but no other charges. 5 years after these laws were introduced, when, as your Director General says, foreign interference and espionage is the highest level it's ever been. It's our principal security threat. What can you tell me to again give those people confidence that the AFP is using this law to the maximum extent possible to protect them?
So the first thing I would say to that is that there is a lot of disruption activity that is carried out by the task force that never becomes visible.
Yeah.
And that makes it really difficult for us to give that assurance to the community that we are out there and we are very active. But I do think that the Director General of ASIO did make reference to some numbers in his threat assessment speech at the start of this year, where he talked in excess of 120 operations since the start of the task force, and a 265% increase in disruptions recently. So I can assure the community that we are extremely active. I know that there will be members in the community that know that because we have engaged with them and we are engaging with them. They are just not things that we can really publicly talk about. The other thing I also want to refer to, obviously, is the work that we do through our community liaison teams and through the release of the community fact sheet last year. That has been very successful for us in being able to educate diaspora community in relation to what foreign interference looks like, firstly, and what we're encouraging them to do if they are identifying that they may be subject to that.
Okay. And what update can you give me in relation to the John Zhang matter? It was 4 years ago now, next month, which is tomorrow, that a warrant was exercised in relation to him.
Yes.
He has challenged that in the courts, including to the High Court, but it's now 3 years since he lost his High Court action. What update can you give me about that case?
I can give you assurance that there is significant progress in that matter. Whilst I can't go into any further detail at this point in time, I can describe it as significant progress.
Okay.